Raymond. You're watching RPadTV, and today I'm joined by some excellent friends where we're going to talk about Wonder Man Season 1, the latest MCU show on Disney+. From the top left, well, I guess it's my top left, we have Mac Marshall, Paul Semel, and Marcus Beer. How are you guys doing today?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. I get it. I see what you did there.
I'm actually quite happy with some various football results today. And yes,
I am not. We are recording on a Sunday where Marcus's team did well and my Man City.
And you're talking about proper football, not American.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like the real one.
And who have we got next week at home?
It's you and me, Marcus. But to be fair, I don't think we're ever competing for the title this year.
I would pay good money to see both of you play soccer against each other.
No.
Like that's, you want to set up a fucking pay-per-view channel or
maybe wheelchair soccer.
We still get our asses handed to us on the play.
I paid good money for that.
Yeah, but I think this was the weekend where Arsenal finally won the title, whether they want to or not. But
yeah, we're all just going to play catch up. I mean, the fact that we're now 6th is really irking to me. So hopefully we've got to go on a run.
Yes. But let us kick things off with some BlueSky blurbs of Wonder Man. Mac, why don't you kick us off? Yours cracked me up.
So fun fact, hated it, didn't like it. So my BlueSky review was I wonder why they made this show, man.
Fantastic.
It's a play on words.
Yes.
I see what you used to be there. In writing type things.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get it. The show did nothing for me. So that was my...
Paul, as you're drinking out of that wonderful RPadTV tumbler, where you can get on Amazon.com, why don't you tell us your BlueSky blurb, please?
Trying to do my radio voice. Finished watching Wonder Man. It was good, though not nearly as good as some people made it out to be. It's far from the MCU's best show. That said, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Sir Ben Kingsley, were both great, no surprise there, and great together.
Apparently Ben Kingsley is one of those guys that insists on the sir.
Actually, I heard that's not true. I heard somebody asked him about that, and he was like, I don't know why that got started, but no, that's not. He said he thinks that like maybe he joked about it once, and now everybody thinks that's like true, but like
I'm gonna think it's true. In my head, it's true. It's also there was also a period of time where he would hang out with Patrick Stewart as like these two bald, cool British dudes.
Two bald sirs.
One
sounds like a show.
Like, and that does sound like a show. I would watch the hell out of that.
Yeah.
Well, you throw in Ian McKellen.
Yes.
I mean, admittedly, you can't have the bald, but I mean, look at can
Two
you imagine
bald sirs and Ian
and a little lady they'll take over from Tom Selleck, Gutenberg, and
who else
was in that movie?
Three men and a little lady.
Marcus, just tell us your quick thoughts since you were having BlueSky issues.
I was having BlueSky issues. BlueSky hates me. So my thoughts are Wonder Man is an interesting premise that totally wastes said premise. And despite one shining episode, Ding Dong Doorman, totally can't build on the chemistry between the two main stars.
And I really enjoyed Wonder Man. It's the most unique MCU show, very meta and a little weird in a great way. Many of the scenes made me miss living in Los Angeles. As the last vestige of the old Marvel regime, I don't expect to see many uniquely creative shows like this for a long time, or perhaps ever. To give you guys some background, they've been working on this show for a long time. It got interrupted a little bit by the writer's strike and the actor's strike. And it got delayed even more when Disney kind of changed strategies. And this was like the last show of the old regime before they started cutting back on the number of projects that they were going to do. So this was in a weird spot. It's also the second release in the Marvel Spotlight banner, which I forgot that existed until I saw it on the opening credits. I'm like, oh yeah. So it's this show and Echo. are the two Wonder Man, the two Marvel Spotlight shows, which was a little weird. Let's start with the general tone of Wonder Man. Paul, what did you think of Wonder Man's tone relative to other MCU shows on Disney Plus?
This was actually kind of the reason why I didn't like the show nearly as much as you did, because it didn't have the kind of effortless energy that the best Marvel shows have. And in fact, even though like the episodes were like only 30 minutes long, I found myself in the middle of them being like, okay, I'm going to take a break for a minute, which like I never do during the shows or during like the really good movies. And when I say take a break, I don't mean like I stopped and went and did something else for like 4 hours and came back later. I mean like I stopped, went, checked my email, or like, you know, got a glass of water or something. Just something where I was like, okay, I need to take a second here because I just need a break for a second.
Fair enough. Marcus, how about you? What did you think of Wonder Man tonally?
Tonally, it was a hodgepodge. It tried to be creative and different in the way that WandaVision was creative and different. And you had this one different episode, like I said, Ding Dong Doorman. But the rest of the time, it felt like a formulaic show that's on Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Fox.
Fair enough. And Mac, who the show did nothing for, what did you think of the tone? Was it at least unique, or was it different, or you just didn't care for it?
I'll give you that it was unique. It was unique in the sense that they sold us on a superhero TV show that didn't show any real superhero anything. So like that's where the tone is to me, is just like, like it's like, you know, I was excited about like a new character and a new story and new powers and new enemies, and I got none of that. So I was like, all right. So it's basically just a guy who basically has anxiety and anger issues and can't get when he has a temper tantrum, he explodes. Like that's the tone to me. It just seemed like kind of all for naught.
Okay. I mean, I didn't see that. I love the tone of this show. I thought it was very different. Paul and I were talking about it last week. He almost equated it to like a superhero entourage, and that Los Angeles is one of the characters. And I'd see a lot of the things like during the self-tape. It's a plaza in Koreatown that was a few blocks from where I was from. The building where Trevor Slattery lives is the Talmadge, which it's between where Paul still lives and where I used to live in Los Angeles. I'd see that when I'd visit Paul, or every day going to work at G4. So I like the tone. I thought it was unique in that it was about an actor. Like you said, Mac, it's not really a superhero show. It's a show where the character happens to have superpowers. And I didn't have a problem with that at all. I like that they integrated all these things from the real world and Marvel history, which was really cool. Like you'd see real movie posters of classic movies, you know, like Cronenberg's Fly, which I think we were talking about last episode. But you'd also have the Kingo movie poster from Eternals. You had the Zaniac poster, which was a fictitious movie in Loki season 2 based on a really obscure Thor villain. And I'm like, wow, they dug that up. Even some of the things that are talking about Trevor Slattery doing, they're actually roles that Ben Kingsley played. Like he was talking about playing King Lear and Croydon, which Ben Kingsley actually did in like early in his career before he became really famous. I think in the mid 60s or something like that. So I love all the world building they did, all the thought they put into it.
What was the show with Bill Hader, Barry?
Yeah.
It felt a little similar to that in the sense of like kind of being one show, but also at the same time being a totally different show.
Yeah, no, I absolutely think that applies to this show. And if you've been tracking it from the trailers, it really emphasized that it was about an actor going for the part of Wonder Man that was hiding his powers, not necessarily like an origin story of a new hero or something like that. But I think one aspect of the show that we can all agree on, or that the leads were tremendous and they had great chemistry together. Marcus, why don't you start us off? What did you think of Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Sir Ben Kingsley? How do you rate their performances, and how do you think they worked together?
I think both were delivering 9 out of 10 performances, but when you combine them in the same room, they were 10 out of 10. I mean, they were charismatic. They were chalk and cheese, and they're totally different opposites.
It felt real.
To see Trevor Slattery taking him on, and eventually, going beyond the whole, Trevor Slattery, I was in Croydon, but I like drugs and women. To see them go beyond, him go beyond that and actually develop into a friend and mentor, and that was great. I thought the chemistry.
Matt, one of the things you just said is that the characters felt real, and that was something, especially with Yahya's version of Simon Williams. To me, that felt like the most realistic Marvel character.
Yeah, like the way they interacted with each other, and just they really jived off of each other well, and like that was believable and that was redeeming, for the show. But I still, like it wasn't enough. Like I feel like I would have been totally fine with this show had it not been billed as like a Marvel superhero show, and then at the end it's kind of a sneak reveal, like, oh, this dude actually does have real superpowers and he saves. Like that would have been a fucking rad ending had it not been set up as like a superhero type show to begin with, which kind of set my expectations differently.
Fair enough. Paul, what did you think of the actors and their chemistry?
To me, the best indication of how good those guys were, and more so how good they were together, is that when they get, or spoiler alert, when they get to the end and Trevor decides to basically throw his life away and pretend to be the Mandarin again.
Right.
And then Simon then throws his life away to rescue Trevor. That felt real and plausible. And I believe that they would do that. Whereas in the hands of lesser actors, I don't think I would have. Like, I would have been like, there's no way Trevor would do that. There's no way Simon would. Right. I mean, Simon just literally is the star of the biggest movie in the moment, and he throws his entire career that he's been working towards away to save Trevor. And I believe that.
Right. But I also think that was the point of the story, is that he wanted, or at least he thought he wanted, to be this big famous actor because it reconnected him to that moment seeing the original Wonder Man with his dad. But really, he didn't want the fame and the fortune, which episode 4, the Doorman episode, was a allegory to. But what he really wanted was to connect, and he found that with Trevor, and that's why he didn't mind using, possibly throwing away his acting career to save the one friend that he made since his childhood. Another aspect I loved of their friendship were the parallels to Midnight Cowboy, which I don't know what this means to the majority of the audience, because it's an old movie. I think it's late 60s, if I'm not mistaken. Someone correct me. Where's Carlos to fact check us when we're live? We are not live, so we can't do that. They go see Midnight Cowboy in episode 1. In the finale, they play that Harry Nilsson song, Everybody's Talking, which is from the opening scene in Midnight Cowboy. And their relationship is similar to the relationship between Dustin Hoffman's character, who's like this New York con man / grifter, John Voight's character. And this was young John Voight before he became insane and crazy. But he plays this naive guy going to New York, and Dustin Hoffman's character takes advantage of him initially, but they ended up really bonding together and forming a close friendship. So that's why I almost thought that we were going to have a sadder ending for Trevor Slattery, just because of the way Midnight Cowboy ends. Spoiler alert for a 50-year-old movie. I don't know if that counts. But yeah, I thought that was really clever how they made the relationship of Trevor and Simon parallel the relationship between Joe Buck and Ratso in Midnight Cowboy. Paul, let's talk about some other aspects of the show that we enjoyed. What was on your list for things in Wonder Man you liked?
Well, you mentioned sort of the Hollywood sort of stuff. I got a kick out of that as well. You and I talked last week about how fun it was to see Trevor and the Damage guy in what used to be the last cappuccino before the 101 cafe that we used to go to sometimes.
Yeah.
And they
Is
also
that the one for the swingers also, or is that a different?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now it looks very different than they redid it, and it's been 2 other things since. In fact, there's not even the last cappuccino anymore, but whatever. But I also liked when they were going to the director's house that they drove literally right past my old apartment, which was fun. I also enjoyed some of the fun references that you alluded to, especially when they go to Joe Pantaleone's house and Simon makes a comment about him being in the Matrix, and Yahya, who was in the 4th Matrix movie, as Morpheus. So that was fun.
Yes.
Oh wow, I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the other thing that I thought was interesting was, and somebody else pointed this out, is that this is one of the few Marvel shows that doesn't end with like a big superhero fight. And in fact, the person that they kind of got taken down by was themselves talking to a journalist. And I also appreciated that, and this doesn't happen all the time, is they didn't show the journalist being unscrupulous. Literally, this person was just doing her job. She looked into things and was like, "Oh, here's this stuff I found out." Like, they weren't being like a scum. Like, they hate her, of course, because they're like, "Oh, like she's a pain in the ass." But she wasn't. She was just being a journalist, and a good journalist. And I kind of liked that they didn't, because sometimes it's way too easy to demonize journalists, especially entertainment journalists, in this kind of context, and they could have very easily done that, and I appreciated that they didn't.
Right. And I love that they showed that scene with Agent Cleary in the swingers cafe where we used to go. Not a cafe for swingers. That's not where Paul and I went. We're talking about the cafe at the end of Swingers.
Phrasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phrasing is important. Mac, I know you didn't like the show, but did you enjoy any aspects of it?
Nope. No, I'm just kidding. No, the part that I did like, which was just kind of I didn't expect, was kind of towards the end when the ex-girlfriend is like, "Yo, dude, I fucking knew." Like,
right.
And like he's like, "Oh wait, well, how?" She's like, "Come on." Like, it's like, I think we all know somebody who's hidden something at some point, and they finally, come out, whatever the case is, and you're just like, you weren't hiding it that well, man. Like, just
I always loved when they did that in Superman comics, where like, I'm Superman, and everyone around them's like, yeah, no shit. Like, we
had a friend in college who we all hung out with, and it was very like, you could just, we all knew, everybody knew, and then he came out a few years later. He's like, "Guys, I gotta tell you, like, I like guys. I'm gay," and every one of us was like, he literally like just were like, "Yeah, man, like, okay." Like, can we just keep drinking now? Like, it was just very like, we were all mesmerized that he thought that we didn't know,
Yeah. It's like, yeah, man, we knew that like 3 years ago when we met you.
Yep. So anyways, but I thought that was like another just unique piece to just the narrative and the storytelling that just kind of delivered on like making it feel a little bit more believable and real. Like the show did a great job of that, like feeling real, like having real relationships and real dynamics between people. It did a good job of that. It just wasn't enough for what I wanted.
Right. I appreciate that the world that this show created felt lived in, by things like having the Kingo poster. It ties back to other shows. Having Agent Cleary, who we've seen in Ms. Marvel, and there are big plans for Damage Control, allegedly. We'll talk more about that later. But Marcus, what did you enjoy about Wonder Man season 1?
I liked the Doorman episode. That was my favorite absolute episode.
Which one was that one again? Refresh my memory.
That's the
one about the guy who is the doorman at the club in LA, and he has a superpower.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember.
And we lose Josh Gad.
Yes.
Yes, yes. That's all you say is the guy who ate Josh Gad.
We'll have more. We'll have a block on that episode specifically in a bit.
One of my other potential BlueSky like review taglines is just going to be, "This could have been an email." I felt like they tried to pack a lot into these 8 episodes, But at the same time, I feel like, and I know the time, like, it's 30-minute episodes versus longer, but I feel like Invincible, as a comparison, is able to pack a lot of different storylines into one episode and deliver on enough that you can walk away from one episode feeling fulfilled. Like I felt like Wonder Man could have been like really not even made.
Right, but I don't think that's the best analogy, because Invincible is an adaptation, so they have a script to follow already, whereas this is a totally original story. It is nothing like any version of Wonder Man from the comics. I mean, only in broad strokes, but a lot of this is original. But Matt, keeping with you, since I think you like this least out of us.
Sure.
What didn't you like it? I mean, you mentioned that you didn't like that there wasn't a focus on the superness of him.
Yeah, like it just seemed like it was sold. Yeah, I mean, look, it's Marvel, so you immediately like, okay, like this is gonna have some level of over the top superheroing happening, and it didn't, and it was just kind of like disappointed. Like that to me is like, you sold me on not you, but like, they sold me on a superhero show with limited superhero powers and action, right? It was just like a buddy cop show without the cop part. Right. Like, so I think that was like my biggest beef. It's just like, oh, like I said, there's aspects of the show that are admirable, right? Like I said, we talked about the relationships, the characters, but it just didn't hit for me. I just felt like I wasted the first 2 episodes. I mean, that's when I texted you. I was like, okay, what are we doing here? And then I was like, if it doesn't get better after episode 3, and then I watched 3, 4, 5 like in a row, and I was like, ugh, I only got a couple more. I'll finish it, but it wasn't it's nothing I'm going to pick up and watch again.
No, I get it. I mean, that was one of the concerns that I had, that people that want the superpowers and the big action sequences, this is definitely not the show for them. But at the same time, I was almost a little surprised by your reaction to it, because we're both massive fans of Andor, and there are some Star Wars fans that are like, what's the point of a Star Wars show without, laser swords and outer space dogfights, which Andor had none of. But it's different strokes for different folks. I get it. Paul, what were some of your criticisms about Wonder Man?
I mean, the big one to me was just sort of the fact that it doesn't have the effortless energy that you get from the best Marvel stuff, where you sit down and the next thing you just flies by and you've had a great time.
Well, what shows do that for you?
For me, I would say Ms. Marvel did that. Hawkeye, She-Hulk, WandaVision, Loki. Those are kind of the ones that stand out for me as the ones that do that. And I think actually, like, I would even say like the other ones do that as well, with the exception of Echo. Echo was the other, and Eyes of Wakanda. Like those are the other two that kind of.
So you're a massive Secret Invasion fan then? I
like it a lot more than you do. And that had that energy too. As did Falcon and Winter Soldier and What If and Zombies and all that. So the other thing that I didn't like, and this is sort of not specific to this show, but just sort of in general, is as much as I love Trevor Slattery, as much as I love the twist of that came in Iron Man 3 that Trevor Slattery was actually just an actor, not the Mandarin. I really like Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. He's scary as fuck. And there was a rumor, there was a theory going around that actually he really was the Mandarin, and the whole Trevor thing was him, basically he was cornered and this is his way of getting out of it. And I really kind of wish they had done that. Like, I really wish that they had, like, that's how they were going with this, that he really is the Mandarin, and like, it would have made for a very different Wonder Man show, would have completely changed the ending and everything else. But like, there is a part of me that kind of like, when he does that voice,
yeah, that's awesome.
Damn it, man! Like, that's an Alan Rickman Die Hard level bad guy.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
And I love the juxtaposition between that and the Scouser accent that he has is real Trevor.
Yeah. And I mean, and like, imagine if, like, they obviously, again, they'd have to change the ending, but imagine if that's where this was going. That really Trevor is the Mandarin, and now that like they just happen to pick that name, and that's why, and that the real Mandarin is dead, and now he's gonna make a comeback as the Mandarin and like do this stuff and like be like a bad guy in the Marvel universe. Like, I would have been like, that kicks ass. But
I did find it weird that when they had the audition in episode 1, one of the casting agents was like, "Oh, he used to be a terrorist." Like,
Yeah.
and you just let him into the audition.
I know that was a little, yeah.
But I love how that was just like a throwaway thing for him, and I loved his relationship with Joe Pantoliano too.
Joe Pantoliano looked old.
Were those dentures?
I hadn't seen him in a long time. He looked real old.
No, how old is he? He must be at least late 60s. Yeah, possibly 70s. Paul would know. They play cards together.
He's 74.
Wow. Well, good for him that he's still around.
Yep.
And working. And it goes to show you're never too old to need money.
True.
Marcus, what are some of your complaints about Wonder Man season 1?
I think, to be honest with you, the thing I didn't like the most is that the guy who created this, we've had this discussion, is the guy who's now helming Spider-Man Brand New Day after, you know, the job he did with Shang-Chi. And I know you like Shang-Chi a lot more than I did. It's bearing up well under repeat showings, but I'm worried that
I need to go back and rewatch Shang-Chi.
Yeah. I don't know. You're in the minority in that. If you look at, you know, the aggregate sites, that it's one of the highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes.
When we had the discussion, what was it? The Shang-Chi, the actual character of Shang-Chi was just so milquetoast that his sister was more interesting, that Michelle Yeoh was more interesting, that Aquafina was so much more interesting.
I've said that a lot, but I mean, I haven't really heard similar from other, you know.
Oh, you're hearing it from me.
Yes, no, and
53rd time, but yeah, I you know, I do have a concern. I want these things to be well. I'm disappointed in Wonder Man. I wanted it to do well, but it just felt like a dead end road.
I think, like, the biggest thing I have is why. Right, like, you know, Marvel doesn't do anything kind of like really by accident. Like, is there going to be?
Yes, and we're gonna talk more about that later. There should be pretty big tie-ins. I wanted to ask Paul something because I think you have different opinions on both the music and Mother Williams. I remember you mentioning her last week that you enjoyed her performance. But please start with the music first, because I like the soundtrack, but I wanted to hear what you thought.
Okay, well, I actually don't like the way James Gunn uses music in his movies. I feel he uses them too much as a crutch. And I liked the music in this show a lot, in part because it wasn't contemporary. Like, it wasn't like, there wasn't any, like, nothing against them personally, but like, there was no Sabrina Carpenter, there was no Olivia Rodrigo. It was all kind of older, like, classic songs. And they were used, I thought, very naturally, you know, and I liked that there wasn't any, you know what I mean? Like there is the tendency, especially nowadays, to, like, you know, you have to have a Taylor Swift song and you have to have a Dua Lipa song and whatnot. And I mean, maybe they did in the bar scene, the club scene. I don't really know what the songs were, but like, I like that the music was that kind of classic sort of early 70s yacht rocky kind of laid back California stuff, and not the generic kind, like, you know what I mean? Like, there was no Hotel California, there was no what's the Mamas and the Papas song?
California Dreamin'.
Yeah, like, that wasn't one of them. Like,
I don't remember a single song from the entire series. Like, there's none of the music in the show stood out to me in a memorable way whatsoever.
100%.
The Harry Nilsson song was, I think, really important to that.
It may be a case of inopportune use of the soundtracks, or that the show was just so kind of depressing that, not depressing, just banal, that it kind of dragged the music down, dragged the joy out of it. Because I'm with you. I don't think any movie ever needs a Taylor Swift unless it's a teenage rom-com, and I couldn't even point Olivia Rodrigo out in a police lineup.
I think that's more of a function of age than anything.
Well, but I mean, the reason I said James Gunn is that his judicious use, you may not like perhaps the songs he picks, but his judicious use of dropping stuff in can help bridge something or help enliven it. Edgar Wright. Sorry, I've been on my senile pills today. But again, they have a way of doing it that's just like kicking something in. And if you've got some really good stuff, and I'm not talking about generic, I'm so sick of, we're about to land in London now. London's calling.
Right. I mean, I like James Gunn's use of music too, but I kind of see what Paul means. He does get heavy-handed with it. So when you said judicious use, I'm like, I'm not. When he does use it well, it's awesome. But I also think he goes to the well too many times, which I think is Paul's problem with it.
Yeah,
but it bothers Paul more than it does me.
I think it feels like we're getting. Sorry, it was vitally needed in the first Guardians.
Yeah, I always equate what James Gunn does with music in his movies to what, like, you go way back, like what Gears of War did with having REM be the music for their trailer, right? It really just kind of like bridged
REM,
like me, like bridged like audiences, like putting.
No, it was Tears for Fears.
Was Tears?
It was Tears for Fears.
Yeah, isn't it Tears for Fears? Yeah, and it was a cover of it by somebody else.
Yeah. So anyways, I always like that, and I think like Gunn does a similar way of like blending like good music with like entertaining movie sequences that I see the heavy-handed bit too, because he's gone back to, once he found out that he could keep doing that, he's gone back to that well pretty frequently and pretty strongly. So it's almost like we've all been through, we've all been on that ride before, so that ride's not as fun anymore. But I still enjoy it when it's like the right song with the right, like, the right action or the right character, whatever the case is.
Mac, now you have in my head a Gears of War trailer to Shiny Happy People, and I want that to be a real thing. I might have to cut it myself.
Let's make it.
Can I just ask you guys? I'm looking at my screen, and behind my head, it looks like my gremlin is doing something very, very rude.
Yeah, that's what I said last week. It's like your gremlin sexually assaulting the back of your head.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad I've got the
splash guard.
Yeah.
Paul, you also talked about his family, and you liked them, I believe, when we were speaking last week.
Mean, like, the brother was neither here nor there for me, and neither was anybody else in that sort of birthday party scene. But I did like the mom. I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce her name because I would just butcher it. But I always liked her when she was the Abishola's auntie on Bob Hart's Abishola, and I thought she was good, and she was a fun like character to have in this. And she was not the only one. Like, I liked some of the other characters. Like, I liked his girlfriend. We didn't get to see a whole lot of her, but like, I always like Olivia Thirlby, I think it's pronounced. She's always really, really cool. And I like the guy who played the director, who, like, I'd never seen him before because he mostly did like art films, and then he was in Superman.
Yes,
he was like that the crazy
of Baravia.
Yeah. Otherwise known as, what Donald Trump would be like if he stuck his finger in a light socket.
He looks like the mix of Don King and Donald Trump.
Huh.
Yeah, and that producer guy who killed somebody, the Wall of Sound, Phil Spector. Yeah. He was. I thought that guy was. Again, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name either because it's way too many consonants. But yeah, like, I thought he was fun and like a very, very typical but still fun, like, weird ass artsy director type.
Right.
I
was kind of disappointed in the brother because in the comics his brother plays the Grim Reaper, And they teased the Grim Reaper. They showed his helmet in the credits for WandaVision. So I was hoping they would do something with that character. But he just looks like a normal guy. He's probably a bit too old to be playing a supervillain at this point. And I think this series is probably done anyway. So we will not see the Grim Reaper. But what we did see was the Doorman. Let's talk about episode 4, which is one of my favorite. I consider it a standalone episode. Some people are calling it a bottle episode, which I don't think it's the right term. To me, a bottle episode takes place in one room because the show wants to save money. But yeah, I thought this was one of my favorite standalone episodes. And Marvel has done a bunch of good ones. We have the bank one from Daredevil Born Again. I thought that was really good. But Paul, what did you think of episode 4, the flashback?
I liked it. It was an interesting way to kind of illuminate, why it was that the studios didn't want any actors with superpowers.
Right.
And they had kind of said like, well, they don't want them, but they didn't really explain why. And this, I thought, was a very entertaining way of showing what was really just like something they could have just thrown in an additional line of dialogue and been like, well, it's, they can't get them insured, blah, 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 blah. I also love that they got Josh Gad to do it.
Yes.
And that he was just the most ridiculous version of Josh Gad that you could have.
It's like Michael Cera in that one. What was the movie where everybody dies?
With Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
This is the end.
This is the end. It was like Michael Cera's character, and this is the end. It's like
great. Except that Josh Gad didn't get to slap anybody on the ass. But like, I also loved, and I didn't know this until afterwards. But the song that Josh Gad does is the song that he does from Frozen.
Yeah,
which I've never seen and don't want to see. So like that was a little lost.
Frozen? You haven't lived.
No, I don't have a kid, and it just seems terrible.
Show.
I love Josh Gad's line. I can't act. That doesn't stop me from being an actor.
Right. Yeah.
That line absolutely killed me. Thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Mac, what did you think of the Doorman episode?
That was the neatest episode to me because it showed a superhero with superpowers doing super stuff. So I liked it. And then I liked how they kind of used it to tie the story together, how, actors can't be superhero powered. So I thought that was neat. I just remember because that was like when I texted you me the first time. You're like, what do you think? I was like, so far, nope. And you're like, well, give it one more episode. And then you mentioned the Josh Gad thing, and I didn't get it until I saw it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. After I sent you that text, I'm like, oh, shit. Did I spoil this for Mac? I felt bad like right after I hit the send button on that. I think I said something like, who did you equate him with? But I'm like, oh, no, he didn't. You equated him with Bender from
yeah
and I'm like except Bender didn't eat Josh Gad, and like, oh wait, did he finish the episode yet? I'm like, oops.
So that was funny, but it was the Doorman was essentially the human version of Bender from Futurama.
And Marcus, you were a big fan of this episode.
Absolutely. Best episode of the entire run. It's the way it showed the trope that money, fame, success has a really dark side, and if you're not prepared to manage it, see, that was an allegory I could understand. But yeah, I thought the cast was great. Josh Gad, absolute legend. I really hope he ends up appearing in Secret Wars, just being pooped out of some somewhere in the battle world, or even better, pooped out on Sakaar. Poop him out on Sakaar with
maybe Josh Gad will end up in the void where everybody from Deadpool goes.
Right.
Yeah. But I thought it was great. Loved the black and white. It didn't seem superfluous. I mean, it casted as a memory from the get-go, as an older sort of like step out of the rest of the show's run. Yeah. Thought it was absolutely the best episode by a country mile.
I love that it was black and white from like way back in 2005 or whenever the hell Radioactive came out from Imagine Dragons. But yeah, I love this episode. I think it's one of the best standalones that I've seen. It's up there with Mythic Quest Season 1 had a fantastic standalone. like you were saying, it's an allegory about the trappings of fame, which parallels Simon's journey. It also comments a bit on superhero fatigue, which people got sick of Doorman, just like some people, mainstream fans, got sick of the MCU. I love that it had the club owner was played by the actor that played Felicity Smoke's mom in Arrow. So it was nice to see Donna Smoke again. The fictitious movie that they had, Cash Grab. I love that the mask that the Doorman had was similar to the mask of the actual Doorman character from the comics, who was a kind of a joke character in a joke team called the Great Lakes Avengers. So I love that they borrowed that from the comics as well. It was just really well done. It explained things, like Paul said. It could have been just a throwaway, but I love that they set it up in the real world. Any theories you guys have on where Josh Gad is? They explained his powers, Doorman's powers. He touched a puddle of slime, which is never a good idea, from a dumpster that said Roxxon on it, which they haven't talked about much in the MCU. They mentioned it briefly in one of the Iron Man movies. They did talk about it in the Cloak and Dagger series, which is not a part of the MCU, but that Roxxon is where Cloak got his powers from. He's in something called the Dark Force, which, if they're comic accurate, that's where Josh Gad is. Some people are talking about the Void, like Mac mentioned, from Deadpool. Some people are talking about the Void as in the other half of the Sentry from the Thunderbolts movie. So there are lots of different things.
Josh Gad's personality.
Well, or maybe he's just stuck there in his own hell. Paul, do you have a theory on where Josh Gad is? And like Marcus said, do you want to see him like pop out randomly in like Secret Wars or something?
I mean, if I took the question seriously, I would say that, yeah, he's stuck in a void of his own mental design, and he's just going to be there forever, which is a hell I don't wish on my worst enemies. But I think that they might consider having him pop out in one of the Avengers movies as like a comic moment. Especially now that Wonder Man seems to be doing pretty well. Like, you know, like I think if the show was like bombing hard, then they wouldn't bother. But like, I think if it does pretty well, then they'll be like, okay, like let's have him come back at some unexpected moment, or you know what I mean? Like he'll turn up somewhere somehow.
Right.
I hope so.
Like in a comic thing. I don't think this is going to be like his origin story to how Josh Gad becomes a superhero and, you know, or anything like that. Like, I think he's still going to be Josh Gad and, you know, the guy from Frozen.
He's going to be the new Wolverine.
Well, I like that they called him Olaf, LeFou, and a Mormon, you know, because he was in Book of Mormon as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that they did all that. But outside of Olaf / LeFou, the show had a lot of different celebrities, also had smaller roles. Mac, I think this will be the quickest answer, but did you like any of the celebrity cameos or any of the smaller roles stand out for you?
Who were the? Oh, well, like I think the Josh Gad cameo was like the most worthwhile one.
They had Ashley Greene in episode 1 playing herself, Mario Lopez, Joey Pants, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I consider Mario Lopez a celebrity anymore.
You respect AC Slater.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the biggest one was Josh Gad. I thought that was funny. Joe Pantoliano was like borderline like Joe Pesci level annoying to me. But otherwise, you know, I didn't catch anything else that was like, oh, neat.
How about you, Marcus? Did you enjoy any of the other celebrity appearances or smaller roles?
Well, I mean, Joey Pants like did put a bow on things in the end when you saw who the party taken. That was chuckle worthy, but I mean, it was tough to see Joe Pants looking like Larry David.
Yeah, totally. I mean, as Paul mentioned, dude's 74 years old.
Yeah, look at we're being
I don't think he
ages dicks right now, but
well, I also just while we were talking, I Googled like recent photos of him, and he doesn't look like that normally. So I think they did that I think they
Oh, they
made
played
him
it up.
look Larry David. I mean, he is bald, but like he normally wears like a Kangol hat. He looks much more presentable. Like I think they made him look much more, crazy. What's also funny is I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about the fact that he was in this, and he said that like he appreciated that they made him seem much more successful than he really was. And like he's gotten all these calls from people to be like, wait a minute, since when do you live in a mansion on the Malibu coast? And he's like, I don't. I still live in the farm, in the house in upstate New York that I'm in. So I thought that was fun. Again, it's like just as Josh Gad isn't nearly supposedly a putz as he was in the show, like
of course.
neither was Pantaleone. So, and I don't know about you guys, but I always like it when actors can make fun of themselves. Like when Neil Patrick Harris was in the Harold and Kumar movie. Like
that's one of his best roles ever. I remember cracking up forever at Neil Patrick Harris and Harold and Kumar.
Yeah,
and also, by the way, in Undercover Brother, same thing. Neil Patrick Harris is one of his best roles.
I love the
Matt LeBlanc did the same thing in a TV show where he was playing Matt LeBlanc.
It was Episodes. That is a fantastic series.
Yeah,
very, very British. I love that it's a good combination of British and American sitcoms. Random aside, the director's mansion that they used in Wonder Man is actually Rod Stewart's old mansion. So that shows you what kind of money Rod Stewart was pulling in back in the day. I love that they use Ashley Greene in episode 1. She was always the hottest to me in the Twilight movies. The guy at the desk in the episode 1 casting is AJ Raphael. So he's been a longtime Filipino-American actor that has kind of been struggling. So it was nice to see him be in Marvel for a few minutes. The episode 5, the guy that had their GoPro footage, he is also a Filipino-American actor named Brandon Wardell. He was in Easter Sunday, and that's the only other thing I've seen him in. So for me, it was cool seeing a bunch of Filipinos in an MCU project. That made me very happy. And I'll also watch more of Ashley Greene in anything, really. Paul, this was the second Marvel Spotlight release after Echo. It also followed Ironheart in being one of the shows that was dumped right away. Although I believe Ironheart was 3 and 3, not all 6 at once.
Yeah.
Echo was all at once, if I'm not mistaken. But what did you think of the release using the Marvel Spotlight banner, the pretty much utter lack of marketing? Is this like a throwaway for Marvel?
Well, weirdly, I think it may have intended to be, but like it's getting all these good reviews. So now I'm starting to see like commercials for it. I've seen both Sir Ben and Yahya like doing like, the talk shows such that, that are left.
But much later than a typical cycle.
Yeah, it does seem like they I think I said this to you the other day. It does seem like Marvel may have not had a lot of confidence in this, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, people are actually digging this. Oh, okay. Like we need to get on this and whatnot. I mean, it does from their perspective seem like they were just sort of throwing it out there to get it like done and out of the way, and like because they have a lot of Disney has a lot of other stuff that they've got Daredevil coming up in March. There's the Spider-Man cartoon comes back at some point. There's the Darth Maul show. I think there's something else, maybe Star Wars related. I'm not sure. But
yeah, there's a lot.
They got a lot this year.
Touching on the late cycle press promo, it almost seems like I think you're right that Marvel was a bit surprised that the critics have been reviewing it so positively. It almost reminds me of K-pop Demon Hunters, but not on the same scale. Netflix thought it would do well, but they didn't think it would become a global phenomenon. And one of the results of that was that, toys and other products, they didn't make them in time for the holiday season. And they're only coming out, this month and next month because they had no idea that would be the kind of phenomenon it is. So Wonder Man isn't quite on that scale, but it's kind of like a similar thing. We're like, oh, wow, people really like this initially. Maybe not you guys, but Marcus, what do you think of this being released in the same way that Echo was, essentially?
I think this Marvel spotlight is in danger of being the dumpster that you shovel everything out into. Echo did not enjoy. I'm sorry. I liked the character when she was in Hawkeye, but yeah, she kind of lost some things for me, and this is 2-0 now, despite the couple of good points across the board. It made sense to drop it all out. I think because, as Paul said in yourself, there's a lot of geeky stuff, and if you want to know how much geeky stuff, if you scroll to our last episode, you'll see all the stuff we talk about. After some backwards promo, I mean, it sticks it back on this run of Echo, Ironheart, in my opinion, Secret Invasion, and now this one, and it's like it's gone from, oh, this is a good one. This has got all these great things in it. All right, this is a hit. This is cool. This is cool. This is cool. And I understand the critics getting it because they're critics. They would have seen more of the allegories perhaps than most people. But it just
it's not just critics either. The audience score is also really high.
Yeah, you know what you can do with an audience score? You can take that and $6 down to Starbucks and get a latte, because the audience score doesn't matter. Audiences shouldn't be allowed to give a score because they're people like me, fucking idiots. I don't know how a film is made. And when I see, and you see these things then review bombed because, oh, they put a woman in. Oh, there's a person of color leading. Oh, this isn't factually correct, blah, 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 blah. It's like lipstick on a pig. Nobody asked for it and nobody needs it.
Oh, so you saw Melania.
It wasn't Melania bad, but yeah, I'm sure Melania. The best thing about Melania is what they're doing to the posters.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that is. Mac, what did you make of the release? And do you think the Marvel Spotlight banner means anything anymore? It seems like they kind of.
I don't know if it meant anything to begin with. That's the thing. Like, I'm not as well versed in a lot of that stuff as you guys are.
It was also part of the old Marvel regime too, so maybe the new regime doesn't care about it.
And what was the other What was the other Spotlight one we just said?
Echo.
And I never got around to watching Echo, and it's maybe my mistake. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's
not so good.
It's just one of those things that like it just didn't. And I'm going back to what Mark was saying. It feels like they shit out a whole bunch of these like kind of made for TV series shows, and like man, like fewer and further between. Like it just seems like they gotta. And there might be more to Wonder Man. Like I said, like how does, like the biggest Wonder Man thing that I have is like, why? Why did you guys make this show? Why did you make 8 fucking episodes of this show instead of anything else? And it better tie into something else somewhere along the line, because otherwise,
well, that was the intention of Marvel Spotlight, where they were supposed to be like standalone series that you don't need knowledge of the other MCU shows and movies to enjoy it, and it doesn't have strong ties. So that's actually one of the reasons why this show is doing well with the general audience, because you don't really need to know much of anything. Maybe you need to know that Trevor Slattery existed in Iron Man 3, but they kind of explain that anyway.
Yeah. There's like, like the whole show felt like a lot of exposition about things that we should know, even though we don't have to know them. But yeah, like, that's, I think that's pretty much it.
So touching on Mac's point, wondering what this show is leading to, this is the third appearance of Damage Control. They've had them in Spider-Man, they've had them in Ms. Marvel, and now they have them here. And the story is that Damage Control will be the government agency that will be going after the mutants in the MCU going forward. One of the things they set up in this series is that they have this super prison, but they don't have people in it. And they're using quotas to go after people like Simon, which with today's events, that made me feel slightly uncomfortable because it's a little too close to home. But I just think that was a coincidence. But what did you think of Damage Control in this series? They only brought one character back, Agent Cleary. They introduced another one that seems like he might have something to do in the future. Paul, kick this one off, please.
I mean, it's an interesting idea. I hadn't heard that about the X-Men. And I think that the prison itself was in something else, because somebody pointed that out. They said it appeared in a previous. Well, the thing that I wonder about Damage Control is the first time we meet them is in Spider-Man Homecoming, and the person in charge, it appeared to be, was Tyne Daly from Cagney and Lacey.
Right.
And I'm curious why they haven't brought her back, because she's really good. And I would have liked to have seen her. I don't know how that would have worked in the context of these other shows. Again, it would have been like a little cameo, but like I would like to have her, they bring her back in some role. I don't know why they didn't, because it seems weird to have her just do that one little thing and then never show up again.
She seems kind of expensive for the roles that the Damage Control people we know are playing. Like,
right, but she could have done the same thing that she did in Spider-Man, where she shows up and she's like in a administrative capacity. Like,
yeah,
you know.
But I mean, at that point, why use her? Because
well, then why use her in Homecoming either? So, you know.
I mean, movie budget versus TV budget is one of the considerations, I'm guessing. And the two Damage Control characters played a pretty, not a large role, but a significant role in Ms. Marvel.
Right.
So that's
although they never brought that lady back.
Yeah.
Looks like I gotta go finish Ms. Marvel now too.
I think, didn't she get reprimanded in that series, and that's why Agent Cleary got elevated over her?
Maybe.
Yeah, I believe that's what happened.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Marcus, what did you think of Damage Control's role in this, and you think we'll see more of them going forward?
I understand why they use Damage Control, because apparently they're saving Roxxon for something big. And Roxxon is also somewhere that we see, I think, more of a Spider-Man universe company, isn't it? Well, the scuttlebutt is that they're using Roxxon for something more and bigger in one of the movies. The Department of Damage Control, it's a MacGuffin. If they want to bring them back, best idea, make it like The Office.
That's actually what the comic books were. It was more about the company, a little bit different. They weren't going after people. It was more like in the Spider-Man movies, how their job was to do cleanup after superhero fights.
They don't have to go after people on this one. They could actually just, I mean, it just strikes me as you take The Office and mix it with some of the TVA kind of thing, you know, that office mentality.
Right. Again,
somewhere in Anaheim, where they're all just in this brick building, they lead their normal lives, and oh shit, the Hulk's escaped again.
Right. But that's literally what the comics were.
Okay, well, I haven't read the comics, so I believe that would be enjoyable. But they were interesting in the first Spider-Man movie because gave birth to Vulture. I was thinking Buzzard for some reason.
Yes,
I had a picture of the old
Michael
Adrian Toomes. But I mean, the really old one from the books where he looks like Mr. Burns.
Well, he looked like Larry David.
But yeah, I thought they worked really well in the first Spider-Man movie. I thought it was very interesting. It would be disappointing if these numbnuts are the ones who are trying to take down mutants and the X-Men.
Well, it has to be a government agency, like they were persecuted in the comics and the older movies. Yeah, well, maybe not.
But yeah, I mean, it's basically it's very, very prescient right now. I mean, it actually is not prescient. It's in vogue. We know this shit is happening in this country,
right?
Where quotas are being filled in for-pay prisons and private militia forces are being used. The Marvel universe actually looks way better than the real universe. I'd like to go there. Doesn't matter if it's post-Thanos snap.
Now, we touched upon this briefly But I think we all agree that there probably won't be a season 2. Mac, you don't want a season 2 for sure, but do you think we'll see Trevor and Simon pop up again?
I hope we see Trevor and Simon pop up again, because if nothing else, I feel like if they do that, it will be some sort of, at least for me, a redeemable scene or sequence or moment within the grander sphere of things that are happening, where maybe we'll see Wonder Man actually do something wonderful, like maybe we'll see him use some kick-ass powers that we haven't seen yet. Like, again, like, there's just so much to me I don't know about him, but the way they ended with him, like, I definitely want to see them pop up somewhere in the future together or separate.
Right. I mean, there are 2 theories on what they could do, but they both seem unlikely. Agent Cleary mentions that Wonder Man could be a threat or an asset. So some people were thinking that they set Trevor free, but in exchange, Simon has to be an agent for damage control, and the series would be him doing missions for them. The even less plausible theory that I like even more, actually, is that this will tie into She-Hulk somehow, and she will be the one to get Trevor released in court, and they will kind of integrate her into the mix, which makes sense on a really obscure level because they were both West Coast Avengers, She-Hulk and Wonder Man. But I think they're done with the She-Hulk character as well. Maybe
I
a
don't feel
little.
like they're bringing her back, and she quit
Yeah.
the show even too. So,
Well, she said that she wouldn't work for them again after certain events last year, but you don't say that in Hollywood. People will do whatever. Paul, what do you think about Wonder Man season 2 and the future of Trevor and Simon?
I think if the critical response to it leads to a large number of people watching it, then you will see they will figure out a way to do season 2. But otherwise, I really don't know where they fit in. I mean, Trevor can't be an actor anymore because everybody thinks he's the Mandarin, but he can't really be the Mandarin because he's not that guy. And Simon's acting career is over. So I don't know what, they can't do a thing where like Simon is the superhero and Trevor is his man in the chair. Like, that doesn't really work.
Well,
So I don't know what they do with those 2.
is Simon's acting career over? Because Trevor takes the rap for him, so there's nothing tying.
Yeah, but the security guard that he was shadowing knows it was him.
But he also got a lot of money to. I mean, the security guard hates his job. He's had counseling for depression because of the job, and he just got a shitload of money.
Right, but he would have to get a whole shitload of money. Also, his family, it's not like Simon said to him, like, I'm going to give you a shitload of money. Here's an NDA you and your family all have to sign to never tell anybody. Like,
right, but I mean, there is enough plausible deniability where he doesn't know. I mean, that's a harder one to prove. But that's where She-Hulk would come in.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I kind of agree that they may not bring She-Hulk back, which is too bad because I love She-Hulk and I love the portrayal of She-Hulk. So I'd like to see She-Hulk come back. And this would be actually like a fun episode of She-Hulk.
That would be really cool.
Especially if Trevor came back and said, hey, I was kidding the second time. We were doing this to promote the movie, blah, blah, you know what I mean?
It was a bit.
Yeah.
And they could have a transition scene where they're Punisher and Matt are watching the trial of Trevor Slattery, and Punisher's like, hey, didn't you sleep with her once? Just have a totally inappropriate throwaway scene.
Yeah.
But Marcus, you're looking forward to Secret Wars and Doomsday. Do you think Trevor and Simon will pop up in either of those movies?
I think if they're going to pop up, it's because they were in place from a while ago. I don't see Disney moving fast enough to greenlight a season 2 when, we're in for a massive reset. The Marvel Universe as we know it is probably going to end at the end of Secret Wars, because there's going to be all these things that are reset. And, do they streamline everything into 616? I'd love to see them. I can't see them popping up in anything unless there is a Shang-Chi 2 and Trevor's gone back to the village and he's taken Simon with him. I mean, this could be a really sort of like interesting 24 style show where, you know, Trevor is, Wonder Man's trying to get his family safe and, you know, they've been held or whatever. But personally, I'd like to see them do a food travel blog. Where in the world is Wonder Man and Trevor? Or, you know, the Mandarin and Wonder Man, the M&M show, if you will. Otherwise, yeah, I think it's bye-bye for both characters. We may get another cameo for Trevor, but I don't think we'll see much more. Alas, because their chemistry was excellent. I could see him dropping into the Thunderbolts or something, working with that.
There's some mild speculation that they might pop up in Spider-Man in some way because Daniel Destin Cretton is directing that.
I really hope he brings something really cool to Brand New Day, but I'm nervous.
So guys, right now Wonder Man is the 5th highest ranked MCU Disney Plus show.
How?
And it's currently behind Ms. Marvel, WandaVision, Hawkeye, and this one really surprises me. Eyes of Wakanda is somehow up there. And then it's Wonder Man. Where do you have it in your personal rankings? Mac, let's start with you.
In my personal rankings amongst what?
Marvel Disney Plus shows that you've watched.
This one's definitely towards the bottom, if not at the bottom.
Yeah, I imagine
Like,
it's lost for you.
Yeah, I don't get like a lot of, man, I wish I didn't waste my time feelings with shows most of the time. Like, it's even like She-Hulk, all the other like WandaVision, like all the shows that I've watched that are in that same wheelhouse, I've walked away from kind of like, at the very least, just appreciating and enjoying them for what they were. I wish I could say the same, like that I felt the same way with this one, but like really, like I like the characters. I want the why, the big mysterious why did they do this is the biggest piece that's missing to me, and I can't figure it out. And if I have to wait till I see another 4-hour movie later this year to get that why, then so be it. But like otherwise, I think it's like the bottom.
Marcus.
It's in the bottom 3 for me with Echo and Secret Invasion.
It's okay. It is definitely below my favorites: Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, What If, Spider-Man, and Zombies, and also right below the second tier, which is where you find Loki, WandaVision, Daredevil, Falcon, and Moon Knight. So it would be around the area where you have Agatha All Along and Ironheart, and thus above Echoes, Eyes of Wakanda, and Secret Invasion. Although I think I enjoyed watching Secret Invasion more than this. It was more entertaining.
Oh.
I don't think it was as well made. I don't think it was as good, but it was a little more entertaining for me because you got
Fair.
Samuel L. Jackson and the Khaleesi and you know.
For me, objectively, I think WandaVision is the highest quality show. My favorite show is Ms. Marvel out of these. But after that, this is definitely in my top 5 for Disney Plus MCU shows. Probably, maybe, I'm not sure if it's top 3 for me, but maybe just past that. I really enjoyed the writing, the acting of the 2 leads, and especially the world building they did. So that will be that. I hope we see these characters again. I definitely don't think we'll see them in season 2, but I do hope they pop up again. The world is just a better place with Trevor Slattery in it.
True.
Yes. So that'll be a wrap for our Wonder Man review and discussion. Hope you can hang out with us next week, where Mac, Marcus, and I will be joined by our friend Carlos. This will be his first episode of the year. We're going to be talking about Fallout Season 2. Mac and Marcus are on BlueSky. Please give them a follow. Their links to their channels are in the comments section below. And we'll see you next time on RPadTV. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, got to make the hearts. Hearts appear.